Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, passion for excellence.
Here are today's top headlines. Saab is on its deathbed. Sales will soar in China for years to come, and why most consumers will ignore Toyota's latest recall. Up next, we'll be back with the news behind the headlines. This is Autoline Daily for Wednesday, November 25th, 2009, and now an important message. Before we dive into the news, do me a favor, vote for us in the Podcast Awards. Like the old saying goes from the shady side of Chicago politics, vote early and often. Go to podcastawards.com, scroll down to the business category, and vote for Autoline Daily. Now to the news, and let us pause here for a very somber announcement. Saab may be on its deathbed. Yesterday, Koenigsegg announced it was pulling out of the deal to buy Saab. The AP reports that as negotiations went on, it finally dawned on Koenigsegg that it was not going to be able to make money on Saab. Chinese automaker BAIC, a minority investor in the deal, said it might reconsider bidding on its own again, but GM rejected the Chinese automaker's bid a few months back. I think what everyone's realizing is that the Saab brand is going nowhere and has been on life support ever since GM bought it. Last year, Saab sold 93,000 cars worldwide, which is the equivalent of one half of one assembly plant. And no car company, unless it's selling very highly priced cars, can survive on such small volume. More bad news for Toyota. The company's recalling about 110,000 Tundra pickups because the rear cross member can rust away, causing the spare tire to fall off, leading to a potential road hazard. Excessive corrosion can even affect the rear brakes, leading to a loss of stopping power. As we've already reported, Toyota is recalling 3.8 million vehicles to shorten the gas pedal. But you know what? If this is like most safety recalls, most owners will simply ignore it. That's the dirty little secret of safety recalls. If the car's working, most people figure they don't have time to go to the dealership. And this next story does not directly involve Toyota, but it is related. GM is suing Japanese supplier JTEKT for defective steering columns used on the Chevy Cobalt and other small vehicles. Customers complain about excessive noise and vibration when driving over certain road surfaces, which has been traced to excessive gear backlash in the assembly. JTEKT is a fairly new company that was formed from Toyota subsidiaries. Fitch Ratings says automotive suppliers will see a slight recovery next year. According to the AP, higher production and growth in emerging markets like China, Russia, and Brazil will help suppliers. But Fitch warns that the weak economy and lower sales in Europe will stunt any recovery there. And because a number of suppliers are in a weak position, French supplier FAURECIA says it'll look to buy out some of its rivals. According to Bloomberg, the company says the industry needs to consolidate, and it would like to do so in order to cut costs and expand its customer base. The company, which is an affiliate of Peugeot, does not plan to expand beyond its four core businesses, which are car seats, exhaust systems, as well as interior and exterior parts. After the break, we'll talk about why car sales are expected to skyrocket in China for years to come, and how one Chinese automaker is going gangbusters with a brand of its own.
Changing tires out here could be dangerous, but with these tires, I don't need to worry.
Bridgestone.
In China, GasGoo.com reports that auto sales in the country are expected to grow by a staggering 1 million units a year for the next 10 years. The forecasted buying frenzy is spurred on by low car ownership and economic prosperity. Sales in 2009 are expected to hit 13 million units, nearly a 40% increase over last year, and interestingly, more than 60% of Chinese consumers are first-time car buyers, and more than 90% of them pay with cash. SAIC, China's biggest automaker, aims to sell around 90,000 of its own branded vehicles this year, which is nearly twice as many as it initially thought. GasGoo reports that the company expects the number to double again in 2010. One of SAIC's most popular models is the Row, a sedan developed from technology acquired from the defunct British marque MG. Sales of Rowe and MG branded vehicles are up 267%. And by the way, including its partners, SAIC will make 2.6 million vehicles this year, meaning it is turning into a significant car company. Okay, we couldn't do a news report without something from Opel, could we? The latest there, according to the AFP, is that GM is now saying it's not going to close any Opel plants in Germany. And maybe that decision is in response to the next story, because according to the AFP, German Chancellor Angela Merkel says she is waiting for her thank you letter from GM for helping to keep Opel alive. GM has paid back every euro the German government loaned it, but Merkel notes it didn't cost the taxpayer anything and that Opel would not be alive without that loan. Okay, since we're not going to be here on Friday, due to the holiday, we're going to announce the winner of this week's trivia quiz. We asked you to name the make and model of this car. And the correct answer is, this is the Kaiser Darren. As always, we randomly selected this week's winner from the pool of correct responses, and the winner is Chuck Grenche of Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. Congratulations, Chuck. You just won this collector's edition Autoline Detroit coffee mug. And that is it for today's top news in the global automotive industry. And remember what I said at the top of the show. Go to Podcast Awards and vote for Autoline Daily. Vote early and often. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and we will see you next week.